This is pretty much how I cook most days. I'll look and see what I have in the fridge, and when I notice I have all the ingredients for a specific meal, that's usually what inspires me to make it. Lately, I've also been trying to be a bit more intentional about starting dinner earlier. Ever since the time changed, the evenings feel so bright in our place, the sun is just shining in, and I love it, but it's so easy to lose track of the time when it's still sunny at 6 p.m. And then it doesn't feel like dinner time yet, and by the time I get started, we're eating dinner at like 8 p.m. So I've been making more of an effort to start cooking earlier, just so we can get through the evening a bit more smoothly and all get to bed around 9 because my husband gets up at 5 and I usually get up with him to make him breakfast. I know this is only going to get harder going into summer with the sun setting even later, but we're trying. I wanted to make the most of having the oven on, so I roasted this butternut squash at the same time. I wanted to try a healthier take on Jamaican beef patties using the squash with Greek yogurt and some freshly milled wheat in the dough, and honestly, they turned out better than I could have imagined. I made the beef patties the next day, so I will share that recipe in the next video. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified of when the next video is up. On this day, I had realized the day before that I had everything for Greek chicken, which is one of the only ways my husband actually enjoys eating white meat. And since I had some chicken breast I needed to use up, this just made sense because the marinade really tenderizes that white meat and it's so yummy. And when I looked through my fridge, I realized I had everything else for this meal. I knew this is what we were going to be having for dinner. I'm not super strict with recipes either. I'll swap things in, I'll leave things out. I just work with what I have. And some days that means a lot of substitutions, and some days I get lucky and I happen to have everything I need. I'm going to show you how I make my rice. It's not always following a strict recipe. I used to always measure it out. 1 part rice, 2 parts water. And I make rice so often. I am Brazilian. We eat a lot of rice that I don't even need to measure it anymore. And I'm going to show you guys how I do it. So the secret is you want to use lots of garlic and some grease. Here I use a mixture of extra virgin olive oil and butter. You want to saute your garlic. I added some carrots here, totally optional. I usually don't add veggies to my rice, but once in a while I do. Changes things up a little bit. And I had these carrots I wanted to use up. So you saute everything, and then you add your washed rice, and you just want to coat that really well in that oil, and let it saute and toast a little bit in that oil for a few minutes. Once it starts sizzling, you add in your water, and I just eyeball this. I eyeballed the amount of rice and the amount of water, but basically I add enough water till it's about 1 inch over the rice. And you want to make sure you season that water. I'm adding a couple of teaspoons of salt here. And then you give that a little stir, and now you're just gonna let it boil. So I leave it on medium high, and I let it boil until the water is mostly evaporated before I turn it off and cover it. You'll see later on in the video. But while that's boiling away, I get started on my salad. I didn't have everything for a classic Greek salad, so I used what I had on hand, which were just organic mixed greens, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, and then I'm going to add some feta and some pumpkin seeds for some crunch. I have baby cucumbers here, and I'm using some of them to make a tzatziki sauce. I love tzatziki. I always keep Greek yogurt on hand, so this was perfect. When I realized I had all of those ingredients, I knew exactly what I was making. So you want to have a bit of water in there still. You don't want to let it be completely dry, but when it gets to that point, turn it off, cover it, and leave it alone, undisturbed, over that burner that's still hot, even though it's off, for at least 10 to 15 minutes. So I usually get started on my rice pretty early on, and it just sits there while I'm finishing everything. And in the end, it's always perfect and fluffy. The exact recipe for everything will be on my website. I'll leave the link below. But as you can see, this is how I just cook. Everything is basically eyeballed. The more you cook, the more you get used to it. Here I have roughly 1 cup of yogurt, a drizzle of olive oil, about 2 baby cucumbers, some dried dill that I bought fresh, and then I dehydrated it in my air fryer because dill always comes in a very big bunch at my grocery store, and if I don't do this, it'll just go bad. So I dry it myself, and it's always much more vibrant than if I were to buy it at the store like that. This Greek chicken marinade is super easy and delicious. You want to marinate it overnight. I'll have the exact recipe on the blog. It really makes for such a moist chicken, even if it's white meat. You can definitely substitute it for chicken thighs if you want, but if you have some chicken breast and you want to use that, this is a great way to make sure it stays nice and moist. And the secret to using a cast iron skillet, you want to let it get really hot. You add your oil, make sure your pan is nice and seasoned. Add your meat and then don't touch it. Let it brown. This way it will unstick from the bottom and you'll get those nice brown bits, which adds so much flavor and it really helps seal in those juices instead of it just all coming out if you're constantly stirring. So my rice has been sitting here for 15 minutes. I'm fluffing it with a fork to just get it all nice and fluffy, and it's ready to be eaten, but it's just gonna sit here while I finish everything else. I let my chicken sit and keep cooking. More of the juices started coming out, but I don't stir it all the time. I stirred it like 3 times total. This is the second time I'm stirring it. Just making sure everything is getting coated. You start to get the really nice brown color from all those bits that start browning in the pan. And then for my salad dressing, I keep this jar. It literally was like a kombucha jar that I use for my salad dressing. I don't buy salad dressing at the store. I always make my own, and my recipe is never the same. I do about 1 part of something citrusy like lemon or lime or vinegar, or a combination. Sometimes I'll do balsamic, sometimes I'll do red wine vinegar, and really good quality extra virgin olive oil. This time, because it was a Greek salad, I added some oregano. And I like adding a little bit of mustard. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of maple with my balsamic, some salt, shake it all up, and you've got beautiful salad dressing without any preservatives. It's delicious. And then I just keep this in the fridge, and I'll just place it in a mug of hot water if it's congealed in the fridge from the oil. And then to my salad, I'm adding some feta cheese and some pumpkin seeds. I love adding cheeses to my salad and something crunchy, whether it's nuts or seeds. So I usually add that. So I always have that on hand. I get them both in bulk from Costco. My chicken's looking beautiful, nice and brown, ready to be turned off. My veggies were roasting, and now they're also ready. Now it's time to plate our food. The squash is just gonna sit there and cool completely, and then I'm gonna mash it before I go to bed, but it's too late to get started on those beef patties, so that's gonna be for tomorrow. But this way, half the work is done, and I can just actually make the dough tomorrow. So this is it, guys. This is what it looks like in the end. Just a simple, easy, wholesome, delicious dinner. I hope you guys liked this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you next time.